Welcome, guys. Myself, Fredo Cervantes, here live with the Sporting Tribune. And believe it or not, we got a guy that maybe by the end of this interview, I might be knocked out. But we got the one and only NFL legend, Charger, as well, Mr. Shawne Merriman. Sean, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, my man. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you for asking. Well, look, first of all, it's a pleasure to have you here on this platform with the Sporting Tribune, as we are, a company that does cover the Chargers here in Los Angeles, and we cover them pretty closely. Which, again, we'll talk a little bit about the Chargers, but I know you got lots of going on in your life right now, especially in this retirement life. But I kind of want to take people back a little bit to kind of get to know the Shawne Merriman in the early age. Like, what led to you loving the sport of football?
For me, we grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. So it was tough. The 80s, 90s, Washington, D.C. Was one of the toughest places in the country. I think, which is crazy, the neighborhood, it was two neighborhoods down from me, was top five murder capital in the country for 7 years straight. So that's
Wow.
what we're talking about. And for me, I think the love and passion, for one, I saw it as a way out. I saw it as an opportunity. And it was something that I genuinely I love to compete and I love the physicality of the game. And so it afforded me through all the stuff that we were going through in my life, like, not having food, sometimes not having a place to go, to get those couple hours to go, practice and kind of take out some of the frustration and anger I had of growing up. And over time, it became just a style and a way I played, right? And so that was the way I learned the game by playing physical, kind of playing just relentless and jumping over people and running through people. That just became the way that I learned the game, and it never left. And so, yeah, man, it's a part of me. It's a part of my DNA. And I know I'm retired, man, but I was talking about being at my son's game right now. I step on that grass and I get fidgety. I get that anxiety. I'm like, man, I want to still do it because it's just a part of who I am.
Right. So I'm gonna make sure that I don't step foot onto the grass with you any minute now because you're gonna knock me out there, man. But I'm sure that's the same way that those four other kids failed in your sophomore year, man. Talk to me about that moment because that's what led to you and your nickname Lights Out. Just kind of take us back a little bit then.
Yeah, man, my sophomore year, I knocked out four kids in one game. And I remember about 20, 25 students come run up to me after the game and said, man, you knocked those guys' lights out. And I kind of turned to everybody and said, yeah, call me lights out. And that stuck. I didn't know it was going to stick like that. And then obviously leaving high school, getting into college, well, the juniors and seniors at the University of Maryland didn't know who I was. It was just like a lot of hype. This young kid coming in with this nickname like lights out. So they just called me by my number, 45, or they called me freshman. And so I didn't have that respect until we had a big game against Georgia Tech on ESPN. It was a night game against Georgia Tech on ESPN. I got in the game and I had a big hit against Watkins, the wide receiver, come run over the middle. And remember coming over the sidelines, and the juniors and seniors who called me freshmen or called me 4 or 5, they say, good hit lights. And so, I had to go back and earn the name again. It didn't happen again when I got to the Chargers. I remember LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, Antonio Gates, they called me Rook. They called me 56. And I had to go out and prove myself all over again. So I think that having a nickname like Lights Out is great, but also too, you got to live up to it, right? I mean, because you become a target week in and week out. People know what you're going to do in the game. They don't want to see that sack dance. They don't want to see that happen. So you automatically got a target on your back week in and week out, man. So I just learned to, kind of put up my dukes and come out fighting.
Yeah, and talk to me a little bit about that week prior to you getting drafted into the NFL. Of course, that's like a very kind of important week. So many jitters, so much going through your head. Like, did you have an idea that the Chargers were looking at you? And how, first of all, how did that feel? You celebrating with your family the moment you got made it to the NFL?
So the biggest thing is when no one knew if I was going to play a linebacker or defensive end position because I weighed a little around 270. So they said, man, this guy could play DN, play linebacker. So I heard my name in the draft rumors from the first pick, which is the 49ers, I believe the sixth pick, the ninth pick, because the then Redskins, now Washington Commanders had that pick. I took a trip out to Detroit Lions with Steve Mariucci was the coach. I visited 11, the Dallas Cowboys, where I talked to Jerry Jones and Bill Parcells, who said they wanted to draft me. And I also talked to the Chargers with the 12th pick. So I knew somewhere in that top 12 I was going to be going. And I was happy with whatever, man. But I think that it was a blessing that I got an opportunity to go to the Chargers out of all of them because of the locker room that they had. They just had a 12-4 season. I'm walking in. Drew Brees is there. Phillip Rivers is the backup. I mean, heck, think about that for a second. And then you got LaDainian Tomlinson and Antonio Gates, Lorenzo Neal, Jamal Williams,
Wow.
Donnie Edwards, Randy Godfrey, or Randall Godfrey. So you walking into a veteran locker room like that, you're learning from the best, right? So at that point, it doesn't matter how much talent you have because you're playing with four Hall of Famers, and so you had to go and live up to it, man, and hold your own. So it was honestly, and I'm not saying it's kind of be cliche. It was a blessing that I got an opportunity to do that.
And being part of that Charger team, and a lot of people say, hey, that mid 2000s team is one of the best ones that maybe didn't win a championship. And what do you think was missing throughout those teams there in those years? I mean, you were in those locker rooms. Like, what do you think was missing for your team?
Well, one, we had to go through, it was always first Ben Roethlisberger. Then you had to go through Peyton Manning. And then, by the way, you got to finish up with Tom Brady. So you got to get through those three guys to win a championship. But I think also, too, we were around that time, we were so good as a team. I think that we felt that we had a shot every year, no matter what. And I don't think that we, had a mentality that at some point in time we're going to break up, right? Contracts, injury, coaching staff, players. I don't think that we all really understood what we had at that time until we did kind of break up. And you're right, man. I'll go back and forth and argue with anybody. I think between that 2005 to 2009, 2010, we had some of the best teams in history, not just of the Chargers history, but the NFL history. And so yeah, you obviously want to go back and wish you had at least one championship, if not two, during that 4 or 5 year run. But still, man, I wouldn't take anything back because of the locker room we had. The city of San Diego was just on fire around that time, and we all went down in history for being one of the greatest teams ever.
Yeah, so in 2013, you retired from the NFL. You started looking towards your new future and seeing what you can maybe do out there. But it seems like you kind of stood in that range of the entertainment industry and try to get into the side of like the martial arts, wrestling type of business. And now you kind of look forward, say 10, 12 years later, and look at you now. Like, talk to me about that progress and that process that you were going through in those years and seeing what you've accomplished so far.
The crazy part is I started training MMA during the mid 2000s, around 2006, which were Randy Couture. That was my first day training MMA, and I got in there trying to train with Randy Couture because I just thought it was going to help me in football, right? Help my hand-eye coordination, help my being active with my hand as an outside linebacker, pass rusher. It did everything for me in football, and it did. And what I found was doing it every single year, my leverage, my explosiveness got better. I wasn't tired in the fourth quarter anymore because there's nothing like conditioning when you're talking about MMA.
Mhm.
You got to come prepared. So I hung around the sport for 18 years, man. So when I launched my MMA organization, Lights Out Sports TV, I felt right at home. It was one of those things where I felt it was, I lived out my first dream. That's playing in the NFL. My second dream was running an organization, being around combat sports. I had professional boxers in my family, so I grew up around it. And the entertainment side, I really just came from everything that I've learned playing on under those big lights on Sunday, the Monday night footballs, Thursday night footballs. It's the production that goes into that. You learn a lot in how that goes, and so it was an easy transition for me. And now being, getting a chance to send these up and coming superstars to the UFC because that's what we're doing. That's why we're into this thing. We want to send as many guys to the UFC as possible, and we want to get as many eyeballs, and we have. We're one of the fastest growing, if not the fastest growing, regional promotion in the world. We're the most distributed regional promotion in the world as far as viewership.
Wow. That's incredible, man. And again, you just had a major event just this past weekend out in Long Beach, and just tell me a little bit about the turnaround of that event and what's coming up next year with the new Lights Out Extreme.
Yeah, man. Every event that we have, so we just finished up Lights Out Xtreme Fighting 21. We're on our 21st fight already. And everyone I say, man, it can't get any better than this, right? You're selling out. You look up, and there's not a seat there. People are just going absolutely nuts and crazy in there, yelling, screaming, the families and the coaches and the friend. I mean, it's insane. And then you find a way to top it. And for us, to top it is just the quality of fighters that want to come fight for Lights Out Extreme Fight now. We're getting calls, not even all over the country, all over the world because of the
Wow.
viewership and people watching us. Outside of being on my network, Lights Out Sports TV, a week later, we're on Fubo and Bally's and Amazon Freevee, MSG Network, BN Sports, Pluto, and got a really big announcement here coming up in the next few weeks for more distribution. And the whole goal of it is just really expanding those eyeballs so not only the country, but people in the world can see what we're doing.
Okay, okay. That's amazing, man. I'm sure a lot of your fans are just excited to see what this new announcement is going to be looking like. But again, you got another fan base that's kind of rooting for something that the Chargers have just not been able to grab. It's that Super Bowl championship. And right now, looking at the team that the Chargers have, just looking at what Jim Harbaugh has done himself, like again, some players say that it's like day and night from when, last season, how it was having Brandon Staley. Now you kind of have Jim Harbaugh. Like, from your perspective and from your view, like, what did you see? What is the biggest difference you've seen so far?
I got an opportunity to spend time with the team before the season started. I was out shooting a commercial piece for them, and I remember talking to J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. I was talking to strength and conditioning coach, some of the defensive and offensive coordinators, and it was the belief that was going around in that building. You would have thought that that it was just a new turnaround. When you talk to guys, it was so confident. It was an aura about them that wasn't there the last several years. Obviously, I've been around organizations since I retired. I've never felt anything like this since I left, where they were so confident in what they had, and everybody believed in Jim Harbaugh. And I finally saw why. From the first game of the season, he established a mentality and a culture that they've been missing. Like these guys, they have a goal now. They got a destination. They didn't have that before. They want to play football. They're having fun playing football. Football is supposed to be fun. Yes, it's a business. It's a violent sport, but it's also very fun when you go out there. You're winning games. You're competing. It's supposed to be a fun game. And Jim Harbaugh brought that love back to that organization. That culture shift that wasn't there for the last several years.
Wow. Well, look, I'm definitely kind of looking at this team and seeing, hey, they had a great start. They kind of had a little bump in the middle of the season. They're kind of turning some things around. But what's your expectations at the end of this year? Where do you see this Charger team ending, and what can you see in the future for them?
Everybody said before the season they'll take a couple years before they get things turned around. And no, they turned around already. I mean, even the game they lost against the Chiefs. Normally, Chargers fans would be hanging their heads. Oh, the Chargers are back to being the Chargers, right? It's not that going on. I mean, the Chiefs won by doinking in a field goal at the end and just barely scraping by this 11-1 or 12-1 team, or whatever they are, and defending Super Bowl champs. I feel confident enough to say that the Chargers get in the playoff, they become one of the most dangerous teams because of the brand of football, the style of football that they play. Running the ball, protecting Justin Herbert, playing great defense, and making those big plays possible. And when you get to the playoffs, you don't want to see those kind of guys. You want to see somebody throwing the ball 65, 70% of the time because it's more finesse, right? They're trying to score points. The Chargers want to wear you down and hit the big plays when they need to. Those are the teams you don't want to see. So I'm looking forward to these guys getting into the playoffs and having the opportunity to really be a thorn, man. Be a thorn to a lot of these teams. Possibly, I think that I saw Patrick Mahomes telling Justin Herbert after the game or Derwin James that he'll see you in the playoffs, right? And so I think that mentality is there. And again, in my opinion, they become the most dangerous team to play because of the style of football that they play.
Wow, well, that would be an incredible matchup if we get that Herbert Mahomes in the playoffs. That would be incredible, and I know the Charger fan base would, they'll be a little scared. But hey, it's an exciting moment in the NFL season. But last thing right here, Shawne, before I let you go, just a quick, message for the Charger fan base because again, they love you, they support you 24/7. Every time I hear, talking to Charger fans, they're always like, hey, your name always comes up. So, your message for Charger fans before I let you get going here.
Stay positive. Stay upward. This is not the same Chargers teams we're accustomed to seeing in the past. This is not a hang your head. Oh, here we go again. This is a different team, and you feel it in the stadium. You feel it in Thunder Alley when you go there doing the tailgates. You're around the fans. This is a different team. This is a different organization. So, Chargers fans, we're going to be good for a long time, and we're going to have a whole lot to root for. And hopefully, one day in the next couple of years, be roasted, holding up that big trophy as champions.
Wonderful. Well, thanks again, Shawne Merriman, here for spending your time with the Sporting Tribune. Let the fans know and the people where they can follow you on Instagram, social media, and where they can go ahead and follow, your whole great investments there with, the extreme fighting.
Yeah, so follow me at Shawne Merriman on all the social medias and at Lights Out XF. We got a big fight that we just announced here. The next one in Long Beach, February 7th. And we'll be live on my network, Lights Out Sports TV. That's available on every major smart TV. It's free. So make sure you guys go and download Lights Out Sports TV. We got a ton of sports there from motocross, motorsports, wrestling, chess, poker, 300 sports movies and documentaries there, 17 different live sports, all free. Just download us and jump on there. Check us out. But make sure you download Lights Out Sports TV.
There it is. Thank you again, Shawne Merriman, for your time here with the Sporting Tribune. Make sure that your son wins the championship out there, man.
I'm here. They ain't got no choice.
There it is. Thanks again, Shawne, for your time, man.
You
Pleasure.
got it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.